Welcome to Living on Purpose Minipod. I'm Mark Pumphrey along with my co-host Dr. Kristie Stewart, and today we're going to talk about the leadership secrets of Santa Claus. But to listen to the complete podcast, go to indieairradio.com or just click on the link below and go to our Living on Purpose page. That way you can listen to the whole podcast with our special guest, Mrs. Claus.
There you go.
So, Kristie, tell us a little bit about this book that you so enjoy.
I love this little book. I've taught from it for years, and you really can make it applicable to business or personal life, right, of the leadership secrets of Santa Claus. It's put out by Walk the Talk Resources, and today we're going to just give a brief overlook of the 8 leadership secrets of Santa Claus.
Okay, well, let's just jump into number 1. Build a better workshop. What's that mean?
Well, that means really, again, all of these concepts are going to be personal or professional. The book is obviously written for your professional life or your work environment, but any of these can be just as applicable for your personal life. Basically, it says his building a wonderful workshop is knowing your mission, making sure that you know your mission, making sure your employees know your mission, and your core values. He gives an example of Virginia, that he was doing a training session. He gave all of the elves that were in this training session a set of building blocks and told them to make just an amazing workshop, what they thought a perfect workshop would be. And he left and came back, and she's still working, and she just made these 6 pillars. And he didn't quite understand and said, Virginia, do you need more time? And she said, no, because there are no roofs, no sides, no anything, just these 6 pillars. When Santa asked, well, what exactly does that mean? It's really not how the workshop stands. It's really what the workshop stands for. And so she represented the 6 core values of the workshop, and Santa and the elves and everything that they do revolving around delivering happiness to children, which was part of their mission statement. So
basically, he could have been in a warehouse in West Virginia or the North Pole. That didn't matter. Right. It was what it stood for.
Right, because the mission is not about delivering toys. It's about delivering happiness.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter where you are, what you are, or anything. It doesn't matter the building you stand in. It matters what the building stands for.
I agree with that
There we
full-heartedly.
go.
So, let's jump into number 2. Choose your reindeers wisely.
Well, I'll tell you, if anybody listens to our podcast on a regular basis, they will hear this day in and day out of everything we talk about, that you have to choose your reindeer wisely.
Yes.
Right? Who you surround yourself with matters.
Absolutely.
At work, sometimes you can't necessarily choose those people, but in your personal life, you most certainly can. And what Santa was saying is basically that he hired a reindeer one year named Misfit. He was busy. He was running out of time. Misfit looked great on paper. And haven't we all done that? Right? We've all just hired quickly and had a nightmare at the end. And that was he had to fire him. Getting fired by Santa. You don't want to get fired by Santa. That's a pretty big deal. But it was all about finding the right people and the right fit. What we talk about is you can have the best employee ever that is the director of your accounting department that can be a superstar for you, and you promote him to the head of sales, and he fails miserably.
Right.
He's still a great employee, still a great guy, still a hard worker, but you put him in a really bad fit. So you've got to choose your reindeer.
So he was a misfit.
He was a misfit in that particular job. Mm-hmm. So you have to find the right fit for the right person and put the right people where they belong and where they're going to be happy and where their values are the same as the corporate values. And again, it's the same in our personal life.
I was going to say, couldn't that be transferred into our personal life?
Most definitely. It certainly is. You got to have the right people in the right places to be successful.
I fully agree. Well, let's take a hit at number 3. Make a list and checking it twice.
Make a plan and work your plan.
Yes. Absolutely.
And as Mrs. Claus said on our full podcast of this, that they check it a whole lot more than twice.
They do.
And that's really important. You need to know what's going on. How are you going to work your plan? Reevaluate it. What are the alternatives? What are the contingencies that you could put in place?
So how does that apply to something in a personal matter? How can you make a list and check it twice?
Well, you've got to make the most of your time. Right?
Okay.
How are you going to prioritize your time? Everybody has the same 24 hours in a day. Some people get a lot of things done and some people don't. So really, how do you prioritize your time? How do you prioritize your money? Right? What do you spend your money on?
Yeah.
Again, money is just an exchange. You can always get more of it, but we never quite have enough of it. How do you prioritize your money? Every aspect of your life. Have a plan, work your plan. Know that you got to make the most out of what you have.
Let's take a stab at number 4. Listen to the elves. Now, what does that mean, listen to the elves?
Well, this is a pet peeve for me, right? Because nobody knows how to do the job better than the person who does it every day.
True.
Right? Yeah. So you got to ask your people. In this great little book, Santa talks about the fact that he just made a decision on a line improvement and didn't involve anybody's
Didn't get
any input from anybody else. The line goes down. Now we got a real problem.
And now it's your problem because, hey, they weren't involved in the decision.
That's right. And they said, well, I totally told you it wouldn't work.
Yep.
And, his response was, well, just how do we fix it? Just fix it. Where if you had listened to the elves to begin with, you would have realized that this was not going to work. Because if you don't do the job every day, there's those little things in the job that you don't know. Same in your personal life, right? Listen to the people in your life. Listen to the people that, need you, want you. Have input in what's going to make you happy. How can you make them happy? You don't know unless you ask them. So you really, really have to listen, not just hear them, but you have to listen to them and hear them.
And actually implement some of the things that come out of that.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Well, they don't know that they're heard, really, if you don't change anything or implement anything. If you just make every decision on your own, then what does it matter? People are going to stop talking to you. People are going to stop telling you things. Especially in our personal life, that's not what we want, right? We want to be connected. We don't want to be separate. And the only way you can be connected is to understand where a person is in their journey with your journey. And that comes from listening, understanding, and implementing some of their ideas. You can't be the type A that, people don't like people that make all the decisions. Right? Let people have input.
So let's look at number 5, Beyond the Red Wagon. Now, what does that exactly mean?
Well, I think it was 37% of all Santa's workshop for years and years and years was geared towards just making little red radio flyer wagons.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense. We all had one.
That's right. But just think about that. How do you go from retooling a group of elves from making little red wagons to making video games? That'd be a tough learning curve, right? A tough learning curve. But isn't that true in life, right? That change happens whether we're ready for it or not.
Mm-hmm.
So you really have to get beyond the little red wagons and understand that to stay in business and to stay productive and to stay moving forward in your life, you can't get stuck on just wanting to build the little red wagon because life changes. The little red wagons are not going to be tomorrow what they were yesterday.
That's true.
So you got to be prepared to pivot, and you got to be able to prepare to retool in every aspect of your life and in every aspect of your organization.
How about personal? Can you do that? Doesn't that apply to your personal life as well?
Probably actually more for your personal life than your professional life because change is coming whether you want it or not. Right. It doesn't matter. The weather changes. Our body is different than it was 10 minutes ago. Or, cells have died, cells have grown. Everything changes. And to think that you're going to stick with one thing forever, you're not going to succeed that way.
Phrase. Reinventing ourselves is a new thing every day. So.
Every day.
Well, let's go to number 6. Share the milk and cookies.
Yes. You can't take all the credit all the time. And if there's not a better example of the boss that gets all the credit and the elves and the reindeer that don't get any acknowledgement, it's Santa, right? That's all we think about. We don't think about the 364 days of work that the elves and the reindeer have put in. All we think about is Santa delivers them and brings all these wonderful things to us on Christmas Day.
Yep.
Santa's the one that does it. Santa's the one that checks the list and checks it twice. And Santa's the one that keeps track of everything else.
Santa's back there hammering the nails.
That's right. Santa can't do it all.
He cannot do it all.
So we really, really have to share the milk and cookies. Share the great things. We're really good about sharing the bad things, right? We go after our staff. We go after our kids. We go after our wife when life isn't coming the way that we want it. But really, we got to share the good stuff. It takes 5 positives to outweigh 1 negative in our brain. You got to share the milk and cookies, right? You've got to let other people know, again, what we said a minute ago, that they're heard. And the easiest way to make people know that they're heard is by acknowledging them and by sharing the good stuff.
Just an attaboy.
Attaboy, atta-elf.
Atta-elf,
atta-deer, atta-whatever. Exactly. Share the milk and cookies. It's very, very important to let people know that you value them.
Well, let's look at number 7. Find out who's naughty and nice.
Yes, that's important too, right?
Important.
And then Santa hired this elf named Igor, right? And he didn't work out so well. Worked out for a couple weeks, but he started showing up late. Santa didn't want to deal with the conflict. Santa didn't want to deal with things, so he sent out a mass memo to all the elves and Of course, all the elves, sent it out to 100 elves, and Eeyore's the only one that didn't read it, and everybody else is like, "What am I doing? I thought I did. I'm never late. I don't take long lunches. Why would he send out this? What is he talking about?" We've all been there, right? We've all been there when they just mass.
And you've probably been on both sides of that, right?
I have been on. I have sent the mass email because I didn't want to take the time or the effort, or I just wanted wanted it to go away, right? But you know what? It doesn't go away,
and it just gets worse.
It generally gets worse. And then when you what Santa did when Santa finally confronted Igor, he's like, "What? This has been going on forever. You never said anything about this."
Well, I sent out a mass email. I didn't read that. It had everybody else's name on it. I just assumed.
Exactly. So you got to find out who's naughty and nice. You've got to make sure that you treat your superstars that are, the 80-20 rule, that 10% that are your superstars. Make sure you acknowledge them. Make sure that you don't. We tend to forget those people, right? They show up. They do everything they're supposed to do. They're our superstars. They're our winners. And we neglect them most of the time.
Well, because I guess it goes back to your same thing. The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yeah, there you go. Which is your 10% that are falling stars, right?
And you can't grease that wheel enough. So.
That's right. And then you got the 80% that are your middle stars, right? Those people that just do what they're supposed to do, show up, do their thing. The key is that you want to move them up to the superstars. You want to keep them from falling to the falling stars.
That's true.
So, and just know that you got to acknowledge everybody, treat everybody equal as best you can. I don't think that that's really 100% possible, but make sure you acknowledge your superstars and don't neglect them.
Right. Well, let's look at number 8. Be good for goodness sake.
You got to walk the talk.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
You actually got to do more than walk the talk.
Yes.
Because, goodness gracious, in the world that we live in today, what kind of world would it be if Santa had a big sex scandal? My goodness. We turn on the TV and there's something going on in the North Pole. Yeah, we met, in our full podcast, we talked to Mrs. Claus, and I can tell you she wouldn't put up with that too much.
No, she would not.
But that's, you've got to have a zero tolerance policy for yourself and your employees.
Right.
And
you got to be above that.
You've got to be above. You've got to be above reproach. You got to have some credibility. People have to have confidence in you. They have to trust you. You have to be honest with people.
You got to make sure that you're the person that people can rely on, right?
That's right. You got to set an example. You've got to establish guidelines and accountability for yourself and others. And you got to remember that everything counts.
Yes.
Right? Everything counts. It's the little stuff. It's the little stuff. We can all avoid those big, massive sins. Mm-hmm. It's those little bitty day in, day out things that are gonna cause you the most problems. That random Tuesday afternoon things are those little things that you don't necessarily think about.
Yep. Because those are the things that put weights on our feet. Yeah. That's what happens.
Yep. So it's a great little book. Recommend it. If these things interest you, we go into far more detail in our full podcast.
Well, if you're interested in listening to the full podcast, it's show number 48, Leadership Secrets of Santa Claus. To listen to the podcast, we are on every Wednesday at 10 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Indie Air Radio. And don't forget to live every day of your life
on purpose.
On purpose.